Hello, welcome back to the Metal Hunter. My name is Luke, and today I'm going to be talking about Slayer. So today was the 7th anniversary of Jeff Hanneman's passing. So I thought I'd talk about my Slayer collection, what my relationship with Slayer is like, and maybe give a bit of a ranking, maybe tell you what my top 5 Slayer albums are. So in the background, obviously we've got Slayer playing. This is the last record that they ever released, which was called Repentless. I thought it was a fantastic album, or is a fantastic album. Lots of great tracks on it. It came out on Nuclear Blast, I think about 2 or 3 years ago. 2015, so 5 years ago. Fuck me. Really good with these years. Okay, so before we do get into it, obviously I want you to subscribe if you can. I'm trying to get to those 10,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at The Metal Hunter on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So let's get into it. So if you don't know who Slayer is, Slayer was formed in 1981 by Kerry King, Jeff Hanneman, Dave Lombardo, and Tom Araya. They've released 12 studio albums, a handful of EPs, and live releases, and they're one of the big four. They're a part of the big four with Megadeth, Metallica, and Anthrax. They are a band that really have stuck to their guns most of their career. They've had some missteps. Some people say that they're missteps, but I think that they really haven't released a bad album. My relationship with Slayer was I went full in. When I first heard them, I was obsessed with them. I was a fan straight away, basically. And then I think I burnt myself out with them, and then I fucking hated them for a couple of years. I actually was actively against listening to them. I kept all their albums in my collection, but I was just like, I was completely over it. And it was my own fault because I just kind of burnt myself out on them. Now, I mentioned before Jeff Hanneman. He passed away 7 years ago. Hanneman was on hiatus from Slayer when he did pass away. He was on hiatus from 2011 until 2013. He contracted necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating disease that doctors believed might have been caused by a spider bite. He almost lost his arm and briefly was placed into a medical-induced coma, which is fucking scary as it is. He ultimately ended up passing away from alcohol-related psoriasis, or cirrhosis. I don't know how to pronounce that because I'm not a fucking doctor. But yeah, the news of that happening obviously sent shockwaves through the metal community, through the music community in general, because Jeff Hanneman was obviously an absolutely amazing guitarist, a fairly quiet kind of individual from what I understand. He was basically the polar opposite of Kerry King. Kerry King was much more, or is much more of an outspoken individual, but Hanneman was a little bit more quiet and a little bit more reserved. So let me talk about my Slayer collection. So I've got a bunch of CDs here and a couple of records. I am missing a couple of albums here and there, so forgive me. I've got what I've got. Some of this stuff is like a little bit harder to track down than other albums are, and some I've just misplaced, or I just never got around to getting. Now I'll go through the CDs. There is a bunch in here. It doesn't look like my camera's straight, but I'll just fucking straighten that up. Don't worry guys. I'm completely professional here. Alright, starting with Live Undead. This one is the re-release that actually has, so it's got the Live Undead cover, and then when you fold out the actual booklet, it's got the Haunting the Chapel, so it's got like some bonus tracks on it and shit like that. This was a re-release that was released in Australia. I don't know if it was released elsewhere, but yeah, that's like the first live album that they released. I don't own a copy of Show No Mercy. I'm looking to pick it up on vinyl. I think I know where I can get a copy from very shortly. Next up, we've got Hell Awaits. That one is the original Metal Blade Records CD. It's got that awesome old school Metal Blade disc style. And then I've got a re-release from a little while ago. This one is from the same, it's the same kind of re-release as that first Live Undead CD. So this one is from Thrust. I don't know what that is. I guess that's like a fucking, like an Australian imprint or something like that. But yeah, Hell Awaits. And next we've got, this is probably one of the best thrash metal albums of all time. It is in my top 5 Slayer albums of all time, and I'll get to the top 5 at the end, but it's Rain in Blood. Fuck the glare on this, there we go. So I've got the original, which has got the old disc style with the yellow back, and then I've got the American expanded edition. It's got the fucking awesome photo on the background, on the back there. Now, next up we've got an original of South of Heaven, original CD, which has the awesome Def Jam logo on there. Them hanging out on the back. And then this is the American Recordings re-release, which they all have that same kind of disc. And then we've got Seasons in the Abyss, so that's an original one. Some of these are beat to shit. I absolutely flogged the fucking Jesus out of these fuckers. And then we've got the American Recordings re-release. Next up, we go into the 90s. We've got Divine Intervention. I don't have a copy of Undisputed Attitude, and I also don't have a copy of the Decades of Aggression double live album. I don't know why. I always saw it around. I never got a chance, never got around to picking it up, I should say. Next up, we've got Diabolus in Musica. Now, I've spoken about this. It's one of the first Slayer albums that I ever owned. I absolutely love this album. It's in my top 5 as well, which I'll get to in a minute. Next up, we've got God Hates Us All. And other than Repentless, that's the last album that I bought from Slayer, on CD. So that means that I don't have Christ Illusion or World Painted Blood on CD, which I need to pick up, definitely. Okay, so onto the records. So we got Hell Awaits. Now this is a repress on Back on Black, and it's on a nice, I think it's on a red vinyl from memory. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, on red, which looks pretty fucking metal. The only original press that I've got is this next one, and it's an American pressing. So I get it out. Is Rain and Blood. I mean, everyone really should have this if they're a Thrash fan, I guess. It's got the original Def Jam imprint there, or the inlay, I should say, with the lyric sheet there. This sounds amazing. I fucking love this album so much. I know basically every word to this album. I used to have it on cassette, and the album's so short that it's actually on both sides. So the album just, when you flip it over, that album just replays. Next up, we've got Seasons in the Abyss. Now, I spoke about this album recently and how underrated it is. I absolutely love that it's just super creepy with no logo on it. This is a repress from a couple of years ago. It's just on black, but it sounds fucking amazing. And the last one that I've got, an album that I don't mind. I don't love, I don't hate, or anything like that. It's just a decent Slayer album. It's World Painted Blood. I think that they could have done more with the cover, but it is what it is. It's got the nice gatefold opening, and I can't remember what kind of pressing this is. I think this is just on black from memory. So we've got the liner note, or the logo there with the liner notes. See, I think that could have worked better with it as the cover, but it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, just on black. But the label actually has this sick blood splattering across the regular American label. Alright, so I can hear you screaming, what's my top 5 Slayer albums of all time? Now, I can't actually rank these albums because I don't think that they've had a bad album. I don't think that they've had an album that could be put last. Personally. Maybe, I could probably put Undisputed Attitude last, but really that's a cover album, so it doesn't really count. So my top 5, Seasons in the Abyss. This is in no particular order. Rain and Blood, Hell Awaits, and then I'm going to go these two, God Hates Us All and Diabolus in Musica. As I said, I don't think that they've got any bad records. I don't think that they put out any bad releases. Out of all of the big four, they're the first to call it a day. They're the only ones to call it a day. And I think that going out on top is probably a really classy move on their behalf. Not to say that any of the other bands aren't doing very well with what they're doing, but I think that Slayer bowing out on a high is definitely a great idea. I got to see them on their tour when they played Download Festival in Sydney. They headlined the festival, and there was thousands of people there, and it was absolutely amazing to hear them play. I am very much going to miss them. You know, the impact that Jeff Hanneman and his brothers in Slayer have had on the metal world is, I mean, you can't count how many people have been impacted by Hanneman's playing, his guitar solos, and his songwriting and lyric writing. 7 years later, we're still remembering him and we're still listening to his records. I think that his lyrical content, obviously, even though it could be a little bit controversial, I guess you'd say, and some people called him this and that, I think once you push past all of that, I think you've got an individual who is very intelligent.
I hate happy music. I hate when people sing about good things and love and optimism, because it bores me.
And forward thinking with his guitar playing. And I look forward to listening to Slayer until the day I die. Anyway, this is a bit of a different video for me, so I hope everyone enjoyed it. I babbled a little bit. I didn't really have an idea of how I was going to do this. I just wanted to kind of talk about Slayer and talk about Jeff Hanneman a little bit. I'd really love to hear from you guys. Make sure that you drop some comments down below. Make sure that you subscribe. As I said, I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. If you can help me out with that, that would be wonderful. Follow me on social media, all that good stuff. Anyway, I've been Luke, the Metal Hunter. We'll see you later. Bye.